Hey everyone. So I wanted to do this update on the Luma Dream AI machine while my computer is basically rebuilding itself. Long story short on that, as I've mentioned before, it seems that Windows will always want you to do updates. Even if you pause it, they will find a way to basically send a message of, hey, do the update or else we're not going to let you move on, if you know what I mean. you know, and that's kind of ridiculous to me. Like, if the updates are important, and they are, I'm not saying they aren't, but if they truly are, then why give people the option to pause them? I don't get it. But yeah, I had to unplug my computer because it got to a point that I don't know if the internet was slowing down or my computer just needed to breathe a little bit, because I've had it on constantly. But yeah, it just started to load and load. It got to the point that early this morning, it was going into that Google Chrome not responding situation, and it was loading, for basically 40 something minutes. And then when it looked like everything was in the clear, a couple of hours later, around 10:45, 11, it did it again. And this time around 11:11 a.m., 11:11 a.m., it did it. And it sounded like a couple of times it was getting ready to kind of restore itself, but it didn't. So basically, it just ended up. It didn't freeze, but it basically felt like it was going to just be constant. It was just going to go on for a while, and I'm like, this is not right. So I unplugged it for a few moments, let it rest. I beat my computer, plugged it back in, and just basically, let it, do its thing after signing back in. Kind of rebuild itself and all that. But yeah, again, if Windows is going to do this, or Linux is going to do this, if you will, Mac, if they're going to do this, iOS, whatever, Apple, if they're going to do this kind of stuff, then basically, if you have an option for your consumer to pause the updates, don't put that option in there. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, to get back to what I was talking about here, I was on the Luma Dream Machine, the Luma AI Dream Machine site, which I have an account for. And one of the things, speaking of accounts that they've been doing, is adding to these accounts. Now, initially, when I first started doing it, of course, I was on the free account, basically the 30 free generations AI creations, if you will. That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing. It looks like my computer is getting back to the normalcy of running, so I'll probably be going to Google Chrome in a moment. Just give it a little bit more time. But yeah, basically when I started, I was on the free account, and I kind of upgraded myself to the $24 a month account, which was $150. That's 100. Basically, what that is, 150 is it's the 30 free that you initially get when you start, and it's also 120 more. So you essentially get 150. So I was on that for a bit, and then I decided, you know what? I've got a little bit extra money on me. I'm going to kind of splurge a little bit. It was, kind of a belated birthday thing to myself. And I decided to up myself to the 64, or 65, I should say, $65 a month one. And that gives you essentially 280 generate AIs, plus the 30 that you get, like I said, when you join. So in total, I get like 310. Now, what was interesting is when I did that, I didn't initially pay 65. I only paid like a fraction of that. I paid like under 20 bucks. And I think the reason being is because I was upgrading during the time that I was still in the progress of my monthly subscription of $25. So I only paid a fraction of the $64.99 a month deal, 65 if you will. I only paid a fraction of that, like around, like I said, a little under $20. And just recently they did, for this month, take out the 65, which honestly, if you have the money, it's a great option to go with. Probably the best option, because you do have other options that are a little bit more expensive. Like you got basically, I think the 99, basically the $100 one a month, if not less if you go yearly. But the $100 one, that's monthly, that's $99.99. And then, of course, you have the $499.99 one, which is the most expensive, but it gives you over like 2,000 plus, 2,430, I believe, 2,400 generate AIs plus the initial 30 or free 30 ones that you get. So that's the most expensive, basically the $500 one. To me, I think the most reasonable is, to where you get enough and you don't have to really splurge through them unless you just want to have a lot of fun. To me, the best selling one, in my opinion, and the most affordable, most reasonable, is the $65 one, basically the $64.99 a month one. So that to me is probably the most reasonable one financially, outside of the $25 a month one, the $24.99 one, if you will. But yeah, that to me is the more reasonable one, because essentially you get not only the 280 AI generates, but you get, like I said, the initial 30 that you get when you join. Now, that's not the only plan they have. I mean, if you really want to go cheap, you could get, this is crazy. Yearly, the cheapest now is $7.99, but monthly monthly is $9.99, basically $10. And you essentially get 40 plus the 30. In total, you get 70, which isn't too bad if you're basically someone that's very casual. You're someone very casual and everything. But yeah, you would get 40 along with the initial 30 you get when you join, which would make it 70. But to me, the best option, in my opinion, has to be the $64.99 one, the $65 a month one. That gives you, like I said, 280 and the free 30 that you get because you joined, and everything, essentially giving you 310. So that's the one I would go with, because to me, it's right in the middle of what can I afford to what can I afford to subscribe with, and what can I not afford to subscribe with. So that's the best solution for me. Now, if I can't keep up with it, that's another story. That's another story and everything. But yeah, essentially, I wonder what this is. This is not my default browser. I wonder if that's what it was doing. I don't know. Take that off. Not going the Bing route, because I know what that would be. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, and like as you just saw there, my computer is still building. I just opened up Chrome again, and I guess one of the things Chrome was doing, because apparently one of the things with Chrome is you can close it when it says, hey, you need to do an update or a new Chrome is available. But then, after you do that, it doesn't take long for them to tell you that again, almost like a week or two later, or less than that. So, yeah, I guess Chrome basically wanted you to do their thing too. Didn't help in the long run, and I'm just letting it, do its thing right now as I move this over to where it should be. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, the Luma's AI Dream Machine. To me, I kind of like that. I kind of like the $65 a month, $64.99 a month deal, because again, it's right in that middle part. It's right in that middle part, if you will. That it's what you can afford basically of what you can afford and what you can't afford. It's like what right in the middle. Like it lean because if you can't afford even that, you can lean backwards over to the 24 one, the $24.99 one, and even further to the $7.99 or $9.99 one a month. If you can't afford, but if you can, if like you come into tons of money, you can go forward if you want to. If you want to be daring enough, if you will, or if you're good at balancing your money, kind of balancing your finances and everything, you go forward, if you will. But to me, being right in that middle part, I think is great. I think it's really great. It's a great option. But I also want to talk about this because yesterday, speaking of updates, Luma.ai or the Luma Dream Machine decided to do an update of their own. Basically, they said at the top of the screen that they were, basically it was on top of the screen when you enter your area. When you sign in, you enter and see what you've done so far. AI, video animation wise. It basically they had this thing on top that said, we are deploying an update, to kind of make things better and all that. And what they deployed was something called the Dream Machine 1.5 or something like that. And what this did, according to what I found out looking online, because even I wanted to know, okay, what is this, 1.5 update, right? So I looked online, and apparently what this 1.5 does, or is meant to do, is it will allow you to get a better response to what you want the Dream Machine to generate for you. Whether it's just a prompt in words and just, descriptive words like, such and such is doing such and such and they're wearing such and such, basically, according to what I've read, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, basically the update is going to allow that prompt to be created more, I wouldn't say totally accurate, but close to accurate. So be a little bit more like what you're looking for, if you know what I mean. So that's basically what they did with, that's basically what they were doing yesterday with the update, installing this 1.5. They want to, give the consumers, an opportunity to have something that was more, I guess you could say, more accurate to what they want to see be brought to life, on their service, especially if they're paying all this money yearly or monthly, depending on what account and subscription or what subscription account they choose, with them paying that much money, obviously the people at Luma is like, hey, we got to give them something in return, because they shouldn't be paying for something that, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, should be free no matter what. Should be free to the public no matter what. So anyway, they did that. And the reason I know they were doing that is not because, like I said, they had the thing on top of the site, if you will, on top of the page, but also the fact that at times, more often than they should, I was getting the message of failed to generate prompt, not prompt, not something that says prompt violates our policies or inappropriate images or anything like that. No, I was getting basically on more than one occasion failed to generate prompt. And I pretty much felt like that had to do with what was going on, because the other thing they also said is not only were they doing this update to install this 1.5, if you will, for the of the AI Dream Machine, but that hold on, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Sorry, got a little tongue-tied. But anyway, like I was saying, not only were they telling us that they were installing this update, which was the 1.5, but they also said it was going to cause a lot of your creations that you wanted to see created to be in the queue much longer, or longer than they should be. And I can only imagine those that were doing the free option, how impatient they may have gotten because of this. I can only imagine. I mean, I've been there, prior to them doing the update, but still, it's like I can only imagine. But yeah, basically the one thing about the subscription accounts is you're supposed to get, faster service, with what you want to see be created. And obviously, with them doing the update, they kind of brought all of that to a standstill, to where, yeah, you were getting what you were asking in all that. You were getting what you were asking, but in the long run, because they were doing the update, you had to basically wait a little longer than usual. So even though you're supposed to have like the highest of priorities, well, I would, because of the subscription I got. Basically, they they put me in a queue a little bit longer than they should have. Now, throughout the day, it did kind of clear up a little bit. I was still in a queue, but it started to get back to the normal, like, highest priority situation. And then we get into the evening, and then that's when I go back on the page, and it says they are done, and they've installed the 1.5 update. And like I said, I went online, I went and Googled to see, okay, what is this? And I find out that, like I said, it's supposed to help, your prompts or your images, by, with your description and everything, to be more accurately, or at least close to accurately, made into what you want, be more responsive. So I decided to test that out. And lo and behold, what they said kind of rang true. For example, a person I've talked about here prior, I talked about here on my channel prior, Laboratory, which is easy for me to say, who does, Elastic Girl, shape-shifting, stories, Melting Girl, Goo Girl, Sun Girl like stories, and, guys as well, because, he also does guys, so don't worry. He basically, depending on what you spend Patreon-wise on his Patreon, because he moved from Gumroad to Patreon because Gumroad had changed its policies. If you go $15 a month on his Patreon, you have access to the archives. So you can basically go on these archives and look up everything that he's done in the past, as well as have access to what he's got planned on his Patreon in the future. So anyway, long story short, I go onto Patreon. Not Patreon, but I go into the archive because, I'm doing the $15 a month on Patreon. I go into the archive and I choose the Delirium story from Volume 2 of the Emily Sanders shape-shifting series, because she's a shapeshifter who can turn into anything and melt and all that. So I decided to go there, and I looked at the two last images of that Delirium comic. One where she's basically like being absorbed or engulfed by it's both ways, but basically one is like she's being engulfed by like a river of herself, because you see all these little eyeglasses, if you will, on all this goo-like skin coloring and beige coloring, if you will. So I chose that, and then I chose the other one, was just her head, and she's surrounded by all her flesh, all her gooey, elastic flesh. But it turns out it's nothing more than a dream. That's what it is. It's nothing more than a dream. But it's because in story she has the flu, so she's a little delirious. Anyway, I decided to take those. And initially, even while it was doing the update, I decided to see what I could do, see how far I can create these things. And I did decent. I did very decently for a bit, even though I had some fail to generate moments here and there. Well, as soon as the update was done, I decided to test it out a little bit better. And one of the things they allow you to do is extend, your prompt, like extend it by 5 seconds, and so on, I should say. So if you have a prompt that goes for 5 seconds, you want to extend it, you can get 10, 15, 20, you get the idea. Anyway, I decided to take the last image from that delirium story where she's like surrounded by nothing but her own flesh, to end the dream, where it's just her head in the middle. And I basically said to, I basically typed in the prompt and basically said to the dream machine to essentially, animate the image to where she's merging and being absorbed into the flesh, and then have her lips appear on, basically, the liquid or the the goo that she's now been absorbed into. And even though it took a couple of prompts from the initial one to a few extensions, I got exactly what I was hoping for. And then, if that's not enough, just like with that one, I have the other one that I, downloaded, where it's just like I said, it's like her being engulfed by a sea, a river, of herself, of her elastic body and everything, in a liquid form or a gooey slime-like form. So essentially, I basically said to that one, I basically typed in and said to the machine, have her be absorbed into it and become one. Have her be absorbed into it. And it took a couple of tries, but like I said, as soon as the 1.5 update was done and installed, I did it once again. And after the initial prompt and then the extension, it actually worked. It actually worked because I said, have her be absorbed and then have, the goo, the gooiness that's her body that absorbed her flow. And it lived up to that. Then what I decided to do was take a few pages, had to edit them a little bit because of, because of the fact that Luma basically doesn't like you using certain images if they found it inappropriate. So basically, I went to the first story of Emily Sanders called How It All Began. And there's a scene between her and her lover, her boyfriend, husband, whatever, where she decides to be his bath. So she melts down the tub, and I decide, okay, I'm going to focus just on her. And I described, okay, have her melt down into the tub, or have her merge with the tub, become the liquid, but then have her lips appear on the surface of the liquid. And even though it took a couple of tries, and like I said, as soon as I did it after the 1.5 update was installed, after I did it, after that was installed, I once again tried to get that animated. And this time around, from the initial prompt to the extension, it kind of gave me basically what I was hoping for. It kind of gave me what I was hoping for. So basically, it does give you what you want. I mean, there were even some images from commissions and requests throughout the past 15 years over at DeviantArt that I downloaded, and I wanted to get animated, see what they would look like, and they turned out very well. From Sally being in the bubble bath, submerging, which was done by Jay Foxfire for me, that turned out good. From Chavelis's I'm trying to look. Hold on, I'm getting tongue-tied again. Okay, I almost got tongue-tied again. But also from Chavelis's thing that she did for me was Sally and Nicole in the bubble bath blowing a kiss at the viewer, at the the spectator, the friend. The second try around with that turned out good, and then even one that Butterfly Penguin did for me years ago, where it's Sally all in a bubble bath, all covered up, and you just see a smile in her ears, and you just see like a smile, and her eyes and her ears, but everything else is covered in the bubbles and everything except her legs and arms. I said, have her wink or something like that on the first try, and that kind of turned out all right because she was winking, smiling, and all that. And then I said, okay, let's try something different. And I said, have her merge with the bubbles. And what it did is it had some kind of like white stuff come down and cover her, like maybe extra suds. And it all suddenly started to turn purple. So I decided, okay, and that was the initial prompt. I decided, okay, let's see what happens if I extend on it. And it basically got to a point that I think, had I continued it, it would have, gave me like a human version of of what she would have merged into or something. So basically, I just said, okay, I'm just going to download the one that came before it, and that's going to be what I work with, and that's what I'm going to install, or not install, but I'm going to add to my compilation video that I put together at times to show you what I've done so far with the Luma AI. But yeah, essentially with the update and everything, it seems to be a little bit better. It's not perfect. It's still got a lot to learn. It's still got a lot to difference from, because it's got to understand like what is inappropriate, what's not. And there are some things that I downloaded. I'm thinking, I don't know what it's talking about, but okay, I'll edit it, I'll clean it up, and go from there. So hopefully over time it'll understand, okay, that's not bad, hopefully it'll get that idea, if you will. But yeah, outside of that, again, even though the update kind of improved a lot of what we were hoping for, it's still got a lot to learn. You can still tell that even though you wanted to do certain things, it's not quite there yet, but the update's kind of helping out. And hopefully this is a lesson that other AI sites like to do right, if you will, even our Dream Up, AI and everything. Hopefully it's something they can learn from, and as well as ChatGPT being in Gemini. Hopefully it's something they can all learn from and be like, okay, this is what we need to do with our updates. We need to focus on making sure these are more prominent, we got to make sure that the prompts and what people want to see is more prominent and more exactly or close to exactly to what they want to see. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to talk about that. And in the end, I do recommend, if you're looking into subscribing, that if you can't afford it, the best one to me, and it gives you enough, especially if you don't splurge, the best one to me, subscription-wise, is the $64.99 a month one. I think that's probably the best option to go with. In my opinion, it's the best option to go with. Now, if you want to go yearly, you will get $10 off, 10% off. So go yearly, you get 10% off of the $64.99. But if you don't want to go yearly, to me, honestly, you just want to do the monthly deal, because the yearly, the initial total right off the bat is a lot more than what you see. Monthly, I would go with the $64.99 one, but that's just my opinion. If you want to go cheaper, go to $9.99 one where you get 70. That's fine. You want to go the $24.99 one where you get basically 150. That's your choice. But if you can afford it, you can go beyond what I'm doing, then I would say go for it. Go for the $99.99 one, or even the $499.99 one if you could do it. But to me, the one that you got to go with, that's right in the middle, go with the $64.99 one, and also schedule the withdrawal at a time to where you're going to have the money in there, and it's kind of in between maybe when you have to take care of bills and stuff as well. But anyway, just wanted to let you know what's going on with it so far. It's updated, it's had going and everything. And really, that's all I can say. So let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notification of upcoming content. I think you will enjoy what's coming your way, hopefully. And, also click on the link in the description, to, check out my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. It would help me out immensely if you purchase something there. Maybe just the tiniest of items. It'd be really great. I'd be really grateful for that, guys. And also check out the links to where you can find my content as well. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you've experienced, if you've done anything with the Luma AI Dream Machine. What subscription maybe you've gone with. And until then, guys, I will talk to y'all later.